So, of course, crime being high on the list, one of the things that all of us remember is the summer of 2020. And, of course, we all remember the defund the police, and we all remember Joe Biden agreeing with that. And every Democrat supporting defund the police. Get rid of them, cut the budgets, rethink it, reimagine it, re-everything it. We remember. We have the receipts. We have the video. They'd all like to rewrite history. And then Cori Bush is one of them. Now, Cori Bush, if you remember, we found out that she's spending a couple $100,000 a year on private security for herself. But she was all for defund the police in your neighborhood. Well, she was asked a couple questions about that as we're now 5 weeks out from the midterms. Cut 8G. Roll that.
Congresswoman, you've been unwavering in your support for the defund the police movement, but many Democrats have backed away from that as the midterms approach. And your story, which you write about in the book, you have a couple traumatic experiences with law enforcement. Your story makes it clear we need police reform. Yes. Now, we also need social and mental health workers to de-escalate
just by the way, does her story really make it? Her story makes it clear? Genius? Okay. Her story makes it clear that we need police reform. Right. How many encounters does the police have every year? How many times they put their lives on the line? And it's her story that makes it clear we need police reform, everybody. Okay, thank you. The View, adding so much to the public discourse here as they do each and every morning. Go ahead, G.
Situations with more resources allocated, of course, in general to mental health. But what do you say to voters who are afraid to walk down the street right now and want to see more police presence and funding?
So, I think back to my own experience. I've had issues with violent crime myself.
We're not talking about you. We're talking about the people who are afraid. I mean, can you believe the way she's going to deflect this right out of the gate?
Well, the way she set up, think about the way she set up the question.
Oh, she framed it, gave her a chance to get out right away. But how do you feel? What do you say to people who are petrified to walk down the street? We just watched the MTA worker get stabbed 22 times in the chest on a street corner in broad daylight, and people just rolled and strolled right on by in New York City, petrified. And you go Google stabbing New York City, like 20 articles come up in the last 3 days. You can't go in this.
Go ahead.
Nonsense.
Issues that happened. I've had issues year after year after year. I know family members and friends, my network, who've had issues year after year after year. Throwing more money to police did not solve those problems because I still have had friends that were dying, still had so many issues happening in our communities, the racial profiling and such. So the throwing the money at it didn't fix the problem. I'm saying let's demilitarize the police. I'm saying let's not use money for SWAT gear. Let's not use money to buy the big MRAPs for our communities, because let's be clear, the MRAP is not for Russia. In my community, who is it for? It's for the people in that community. So what we need when in a lot of places, more than half of the budget of a city can go towards police, and less than 5% or so goes to health and human servijust. I'm saying let's.
Another genius from the Democratic Party. Now, does that make a lot of sense to anybody?
So I just want to throw one thing out there. She says, don't keep throwing money at it because it's not helping. But you still want to keep throwing money at other social programs that don't help. I mean, you want to throw money at something, why don't we start with like what a real business would do, and that's infrastructure. Why don't we start with, with trade schools? Why don't we start with better education, applicable education?